Look closely at modern global crises: war, chronic hunger, and extreme poverty. It is easy to assume these are inevitable, but from a systems perspective, they are software bugs in our planet's shared computer network. This illustrates the paradox of scarcity. Look at the overflowing pool at the top. Humanity already possesses the technology, energy, and food required for global abundance. The problem is this artificial bottleneck, an outdated distribution logic that creates scarcity where none should exist. When a global economy runs on that outdated logic, it eventually hits a system crash. We see the results in these concrete ruins. The zero-sum competition for limited resources inevitably breaks down into cyclical violence. Most traditional solutions are just analog patches. As you can see in this relief line, humanitarian aid can keep people alive, but it manages their scarcity rather than solving it. It leaves the underlying failure of the system untouched. To move past this, we need a planetary operating system reboot. This framework translates 5 universal truths into the digital and physical layers of a new global BIOS. The goal is to move beyond trust-based diplomacy and toward a world where stability is engineered directly into the infrastructure of civilization. The first truth is the connection between the microcosm and the macrocosm. It is difficult to fix a conflicted global system if the individuals running it are still governed by the biology of a scarcity mindset. The biological BIOS tracks physiological clarity as a leadership metric. It is designed to ensure that those making high-level decisions have the neurological stability required to see past short-term defensive impulses. This enables the second truth, the requirement of avoidance and generation. Ethical leadership requires a loop where destructive practices are identified and stopped, while regenerative abundance is proactively created. This becomes the ethical BIOS via the GENII intent engine. Every decision follows 3 protocols. First, do no harm. Second, help if you can. Third, if a situation is ambiguous, pause and consult predictive algorithms to prevent unintended damage. A global economy cannot produce a peaceful outcome if its microcomponents, the daily decisions of its leaders, continue to execute toxic or extractive commands. The third truth prioritizes covenantal trust over paper contracts. Fragile diplomatic treaties fail because they are separate from the systems they try to govern. Real cooperation requires hard-coded accountability. The system BIOS uses a triple helix framework to integrate physical hardware, moral software, and predictive intelligence. When these layers synchronize, they create a verifiable trust layer where keeping a commitment is the most profitable choice for every participant. The hardware provides the foundation. These massive solar grids and autonomous logistics networks allow developing regions to bypass legacy industrial systems. It gives them the energy and connectivity to plug directly into a modern economy. This physical independence supports the fourth truth, stakeholder sovereignty. In a pragmatic market, people will naturally protect any system that secures their survival. The economic BIOS converts aid recipients into a stakeholder class. It uses asset-backed tokens pegged to the real-world value of nutritious meals and agricultural land held in global trusts. When an individual's livelihood is tied to a stable, high-value asset, violence becomes a form of financial self-destruction. The logic of the system makes conflict an incompatible choice for everyone involved. The fifth truth is that universal consensus is more powerful than ideology. Artificial scarcity forces groups into ideological friction, yet all 8 billion of us share an absolute consensus on our basic life support requirements. The Intelligence BIOS uses the Aikido protocol to filter this data. It discards political gridlock and focuses exclusively on the needs we all share: clean air, atmospheric water, off-grid energy, and organic food. We see this consensus in action within these modular micro-refineries. By using high-efficiency gasification to turn local waste into clean energy, communities achieve physical sovereignty without needing to compete for external resources. When survival needs are automated and decentralized at the local level, the primary resource-based motives for war disappear. This replaces fragile political agreements with the stable reality of engineered resource abundance. Activating the peace-for-profit flywheel begins with the moral OS. By establishing a foundation of accountability, the system dramatically lowers the risk for global investors who would otherwise avoid unstable regions. As the flywheel shows, lower risk attracts massive infrastructure capital. This creates jobs and modern supply chains, generating local prosperity. These profits are fed back to build self-sufficient communities. As momentum grows, the strengthened economy strips conflict disruptors of financial support. This framework prioritizes regenerative ROI. In this model, profits are a byproduct of the entire system flourishing, replacing older models that relied on depleting resources until they crashed. Peace is an economic outcome when it is hard-coded into our physical and digital infrastructure. The resources and the technology are already available. The only remaining step is to install the update.